What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined by Jerrett Mogan.
Buongiorno.
And buongiorno to you as well. How are you this fine evening?
I'm doing all right, but some of you might notice that my voice is a little off. It's because I just got my rubber bands
And your Invisalign.
affixed into my mouth for my Invisalign, and it hurts like a mofo, and they're kind of cutting up my mouth. So
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We'll keep this. So, yeah, this is going to be a very
we're switching to
not
no
it's like NPR.
humor 10-minute NPR episodes.
Yes.
So
Games.
sorry.
We love them. And we're here to discuss them today, me and my co-host. I'm Terry Close. I don't know what her name is. Is her name? I don't know.
What is her
name? Sam should be on this episode. She knows all
she
of
really
their names.
should be. Well,
She
whatever.
loves all the NPR shows.
I love NPR.
Wait, don't tell me and all
like,
that stuff.
I unironically love NPR, and even so, I also see the humor.
Oh, yeah,
of it.
absolutely.
You have to be able to poke fun at it because it is pretty ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we're not going to quite do that. We're joking around, but we are here to talk about some video games because that's what we do here on Team Chat Podcast, the video game podcast. We talk about video games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. New episodes come out on Tuesdays, 9 a.m. Central Time, and you can catch those on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all over the place. You can go to teamchatpodcast.com/where to listen to find all the places where. You can also watch the video version of each episode on YouTube. You can also find us on social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We also have a Discord server where you can chat along with us throughout the week or when we're not here recording episodes. And we're a completely listener-supported show, so if you really are loving what we're creating for you each and every week, head over to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, whereas for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show, and in return, we'll give you cool perks, like getting the episodes early before their general Tuesday release. You can get that early access for both the audio and the video versions, and both tiers of our Patreon. Lots
They
of words
should
in
call
this.
them peers.
They should. That's a much better.
Yeah,
I like that.
Patreon tiers.
Patreon, take note.
Yeah, they're
We got good
peers
ideas.
now.
We got good ideas. But anyway, so you can head over there and you also get access to the private channel on our Discord server specifically for patrons. So it's a lot of fun stuff happening over there. But then again, that's patreon.com/teamchatpodcast. But before we get into the topic of today, let's get a little bit of news in our moment with Mogan.
Coming soon. So as of this episode's air date on March 12th, we have the Caligula effect, overdose. For we have the Caligula effect, overdose. That's coming out for PS4, Switch, and PC. Mm-hmm. That is on March 12th.
Wow.
I don't think I can do
Lovely day.
an NPR voice all the time. It's so hard. But then we also have... it's too ridiculous. We also have The Legend of Heroes, trial. What's up with all of these names? Anyways, The Legend of Heroes.
I know this week they give you the longest names ever.
Right, not cool, people. Trials of Cold Steel. Oh my God. Okay, The Legend of Heroes, Trials of Cold Steel, Decisive Edition.
Okay.
That's coming up for PS4 March 12th.
Looking forward to it.
We also have, finally a short one, Lego Marvel Collection for PS4 and Xbox One at March 12th as well. Also March 12th, we have MXV's ATV All Out, Anniversary Edition for PS4 and Xbox One. We also have Truberbrook.
Okay.
I don't know what that is. It sounds like something that would have to do with off-roading. I don't know why. It just sounds like it would.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm assuming,
Truberbrook.
four-wheelers and stuff like that.
Yeah, right. For PS4, for PC and Mac. Mac
go.
never gets games for PC
I know,
and
seriously,
Mac March
especially on
12th.
release day.
And then coming in the very near future on March 14th, we have Rico, that is spelled IRCO, for the Switch. And then we also have Blood Waves for the Switch as well. I don't know what that is, but it sounds great. That is coming out March 15th as well. We also have The Division 2.
That's right.
Right?
That's
That's
right.
crazy that it's already out. The
is.
Division 2 comes out for PS4, Xbox One, and PC March 15th, right alongside One Piece World Seeker for PS4, Xbox One, and PC as well.
Very
There's
nice.
a lot coming out next week, actually.
Yeah, it's really funny. I saw a graphic on IGN posted on their Instagram where they're always like, what are you most excited for in coming out in March? And it was like Devil May Cry 5, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and one other game that I can't remember. And then the last one was Yoshi's Crafted World. So it's all these like dark action games, then Yoshi.
And then Yoshi, speaking of, in case people weren't already aware, I am pretty sure that the Yoshi's Crafted World demo is currently available on the Switch store.
Yeah.
So
I've been
if you're
meaning to
not
play
sure,
that actually, because
so
I know
if you're-
Sam's going to love it.
Oh, she's gonna love it so
yeah.
much. I mean, we don't even need to know anything about it to know that she
Yoshi
will love
in a
it.
crafted world.
I'm
She's
pretty
there.
sure. Can't you do it 2-player?
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be really fun.
Yeah. We still need to finish up the new Super Mario Brothers Wii U Deluxe 2, whatever it's
I want
called.
to play that with you guys.
The Switch one version? It's fun.
I know. I played the one for Wii U, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
lot
so
of fun.
glad they brought it to the Switch. But Bro Mogan and I played some of some of Yoshi's Woolly World back when it was on the Wii U as well, and we played it co-op. It is really fun to just totally stab your co-op person in the back. Like, just make sure that you jump on them as they're trying to cross a gap so that they miss
Well, that's
their
exactly
jump.
how it is in the
And
Super
then
Mario Brothers one, too.
exactly, Yeah,
That
it's
happens all
really
the time.
It's great.
Can you bubble?
Yeah. Wait, I think you egg.
You egg,
I
but
think
it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same
makes
concept.
sense.
Pretty sure.
That would make sense. That it would
Maybe
be
you
that.
do bubble. It's been a while. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. Because it might be, they might have that same. They'll probably have the same mechanic in Yoshi's Crafted World, I would imagine.
Probably so. I really wish that they'd make 2-player Hollow Knight. Can you
That would
imagine
be cool. I
that
actually
amount
jumped
of
into that a
difficulty?
little while ago. Again,
Yeah.
when we were coming back from Bermuda.
Oh, yeah, you actually played. How far are you now?
Oh, I'm still very, very.
Never mind.
The greens.
Oh, you
path?
made to Green Path.
Yeah.
The whole second part.
Exactly.
Great, you're doing a good
I know.
job.
I
buddy.
finally figured out how to find the bosses and beat some of the bosses in the first area, so I was doing good.
I'm proud of you.
But sorry, I cut you off. I'm sorry about
What was I gonna say?
you were talking about
Oh,
playing
yes.
it.
I
Two-player.
just wish that Hollow Knight were 2-player because I feel like with that amount of difficulty, having an additional person will only make it worse. And I feel like it would be a really
Yeah.
fun time to hate your friends and family.
It would be tense.
It would be tense.
very
It would be it's already a tense game.
Yeah.
And then you add in an additional layer of another person messing up your slashes and your jumps. And I feel like it would be a A+ good time.
It would be tough. Though, it's kind of interesting, though, because you mentioned the Division 2. I actually played like a little bit of the beta when it came out last week, and I only got to play for a little bit, like an hour maybe, did a couple of the first few missions. Maybe because it was late at night, I was kind of like, I don't need to do this game and Anthem at the same time. So I might skip on Division 2, and I'm actually feeling about trying something new with going for Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Ooh, I think that's an excellent plan, my good sir.
Yeah. I'm thinking I want to try that one out
Indeed,
instead of going with
indeed.
Division 2 since we have Anthem still. So, which also, speaking of Anthem, can you believe our timing again?
Yeah,
Twice in and out. First
really
the THQ
unlucky.
Nordic episode,
Oh,
and then
man.
their PR gaff, and then we
Yeah.
have Anthem that came out. We do our review of our first impressions of Anthem, and we're like, it's so fun. We're having the best time. And then, can you believe it? Literally the next day again.
I think it was
the
because
whole bug with the
it came
crashing
out like
and
with
everything.
with one of the just standard weekly updates.
Yeah.
It introduced a bug that causes for PS4 players specifically for your entire PS4 to crash
and brick and
So-
stuff. And it's so far, I think I've seen like some people maybe have found some workarounds or things that have worked for them, but yeah, it's been a cluster. So I've been a little scared to play Anthem as much.
I
but
mean, it's
still,
not
like, I'm
happening
just-
to everybody,
No.
but you don't want to take the risk.
I know, but I
That's
wanna
where
play
I
it
get my
so bad.
Netflix.
I want to play it so bad.
It sucks. We'll just
So
have
I'm
to
just
wait
being
for the
patient,
patch to come through.
and then we'll be good to go. But I'm still enjoying what I have played of it though. But now let's move on to our main topic, which this one's coming from one of our patrons, Ark. She
Indeed.
requested that we talk about games that are ones we've played through multiple times, at least twice, and maybe more than that, but why we chose to go back to them. What about the game drew us back in and wanted to go through a second playthrough? Because really, there are many games that I love. There are many games that I would love to go and play back a second time, but honestly, time's limited. And especially with as many games of coming out and everything like that, especially recently, thinking about going back and trying to play a game is kind of daunting, even though there are several out there that I want to platinum and really 100% complete. But so this is going to be a fun topic, I think, because
It will.
I think for me, I kind of go back like in a few years.
Oh yeah, mine
So
are
some
actually
older
all
games.
pretty old. So this,
Which would make sense. We had more time
yeah,
when we
of
were
course.
younger.
And this particular topic is actually kind of like a twofold thing because it's not only what motivates you to go back and replay a game, but also games that you enjoyed more the second time around.
Do you want to kick us off then with one of your games, or would you want me to?
I suppose that I will kick us off. So
Take it away.
this is a series that everybody who is a fan of Team Chat knows that I die hard love. I would love for it to someday make it to the Switch.
Okay.
Fingers crossed that it eventually does. It's one of the older series that we've talked about. Older being like, by this point, the first game would have been more than 10 to 15 years old.
Okay.
Can you guess it, good sir? I'll give you an additional hint.
Okay.
There are 3 formal entries in the series.
Okay, so not the one I was
and
thinking.
1 additional shitty one that no one played.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Spyro.
No. Actually, that was a good guess, though. Yeah, based on the 3. That was a very good.
Yeah, that's what I was going off of,
see
because
the
I remembered
reasoning.
when you were talking about that one. Metroid.
No.
God.
Okay, I'll give you
Okay,
one more
one more
try
hint.
and one more hint. It is a Nintendo series.
Okay. So my initial thought when you first started talking about it was the Bravely Default, but I feel like that's...
No, there's only 2 games
That's what
in
I thought. There was
Bravely.
only 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm clueless.
The Pikmin series.
Oh, duh.
Because there's Pikmins 1, 2, and 3. 1
Duh.
and 2 were both for the GameCube. 3 was for the Wii U. And I think there was Let's Go Olimar. I don't know. I don't remember what it was called, but it was for the handheld. It was
Yeah.
for the 3DS. And nobody liked it. It was probably okay, but it wasn't real Pikmin. So Pikmin 2 is specifically, actually, no, that's false. Pikmin 1 is the game I want to talk about.
okay.
Because I would say that in terms of games I have replayed on a casual basis, meaning I took them back up and never finished them an entire way through.
Right.
Pikmin's 1 and 2 are like 90% of the entries on that list because they're really fun games to go back to very casually just to pick up wherever you last left off. But Pikmin 1 is especially interesting because having played Pikmin 2 and 3, it gives you a greater appreciation of what they were able to accomplish when the GameCube was still in its infancy, really, because Pikmin was one of the older games that came out for the GameCube at the beginning of its life cycle. I actually don't remember the year that it came out, so my bad, everybody. I want to say 06. Does that sound right? Stall for me, buddy.
Honestly, not very sure because, even though we do know a lot of things here at Team Chat Podcast and we have a lot of knowledge shared
Dates are
between...
not- It was called Hey Pikmin. I was so close.
was going
the
on a
shitty game.
roll.
Okay. Sorry. Anyways, continue.
No, that's fine. The moment has passed now.
No, my bad. So anyways, it just came up in the search and I was like, that's the one that sucked. All right, but the OG, oh wow, I was really not even that close. Pikmin came out in 2001.
Oh, wow.
The first one did for GameCube, so actually that would be...
I mean, I wouldn't have been as surprised if you had said the first one
Yeah.
that came out for like N64 because I'm just not familiar with the Pikmin series.
You are a fool, sir.
I said I'm not familiar with it.
Anyways, so...
My knowledge of that is about that to Pokemon.
To give the Pikmin series a little bit of context for anybody that hasn't heard me talk about it before, Pikmin 1 is a game that takes place... First of all, these are real-time strategy games. So I consider Pikmin to be more like resource management because your
love
Pikmin are
a
like
good
your
real-time
resource,
strategy game.
but it really does fall into the RTS category. So Pikmin 1 is a real-time strategy game that technically happens on a confined space of time.
Okay.
The premise is that you've crash landed on a planet, Earth, spoiler alert, and you are a creature, Olimar, a tiny little alien critter that can't breathe oxygen. It's poisonous to you. And you only have 30 days of whatever you breathe in your like spaceman helmet. At the end of that 30 days, you're going to run out of air and die.
It's pretty good air
Unless,
storage.
yeah, for real, right?
For 30 days?
Yeah. For just his one suit, he doesn't even have like tanks
Yeah,
somewhere.
It's pretty good.
Anyways, so his ship is broken into pieces. He only has 30 days of suit oxygen. He has to get his ship reassembled to be able to survive and obviously make it back to his home planet.
Right.
The premise for Pikmin 2 and 3 are a little bit different in both cases. The premise of Pikmin 2 is you are not stuck on a planet with a janky ship. You have been sent to a planet on purpose, it's so Earth, with a still janky ship, but it functions.
Right.
It at least works. And the entire premise of Pikmin 2 is you're just trying to make money. And I'm like, yeah, spiritually, I identify the most with Pikmin 2. That's me and you, Pikmin. We both want it, Pikmin 2. We both just want to make that sweet, sweet cash. And then Pikmin 3 follows a similar format in that, much like Pikmin 2, it's not contained on a set timeline, like Pikmin 1's 30 days. But it also doesn't have the complete freedom of Pikmin 2, because Pikmin 2 could just go on forever. You just had an unlimited amount of days, and you could replay days at any time. Pikmin 3 is kind of similar, but it's a cross between both. because Pikmin 3 has you being three different adventures, and you as a collective have to make sure that you have enough fruit juice left at the end of every day to not starve to death. So in Pikmin 3, they reintroduced this mechanic of, you do have to make sure that you're meeting a certain goal all the time, or you will die. And to be quite honest, I despise that particular kind of incentive. One of the many reasons that I didn't like Pikmin 3, I've harped on it before, so we won't talk about it too much, but I don't like having this looming incentive of, hey, if you don't do something every day, you are going to die. It's probably one of the main reasons I hated Pikmin 3, but so why didn't I then hate Pikmin 1, you might ask?
Right.
The reason being, Pikmin 1, you still had to collect certain amounts and certain types of ship parts. But here's the thing, not all of the ship parts were actually required.
Okay.
So you had a certain amount of ship parts that you knew you definitely needed to reassemble your ship so that it could work and you would win the game. But there were also a ton of other ship parts around that were just cosmetic. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but some of them were like, I think one may have been like an antenna for like satellite radio. Like Olimar definitely doesn't need satellite radio.
But he wants to hear the sweet jams.
To be able to get home, but he does need his sweet jams. So they were kind of like, a gramophone. I'm pretty sure there was a gramophone. I may have invented that in my mind. It looked like a gramophone, whatever it was. So it had all these little optional ship parts that you didn't have to get, but you could. So really Pikmin 1, even though it had this end game of if you don't finish the game in 30 days, you're just going to lose. Built into that 30 days were really a lot of different options because you could go freely once you had unlocked a certain amount of areas of the map. You could travel in between them at your leisure, collect your Pikmin at your own speed, and collect ship parts at your own speed as well. It wasn't this set, hey, if you don't have X amount of ship parts at the end of every day, the game is over. It was, you've got this amount of time. We're kind of giving you free reign to figure out what you want to do with it, and within that amount of time, you have to succeed at the goal, at the end game of the end goal of the game. So with Pikmin, it's really interesting to revisit it with your greater wisdom and knowledge that you have gained as an adult. Like the way that I played Pikmin 1 the first time around, I was terrible at it. Like looking back, I'm like, wow. A lot of my Pikmin died for starters, and from Pikmin 2, I am very committed to the no-kill runs.
They all have to live.
Pikmin 1, I can't be that picky because you're on a condensed calendar and you don't have time to keep all your guys alive. Right. You also didn't have as many types of Pikmin in Pikmin 1. It was just the yellow, red, and blue. Blue, of course, can swim in water. Red is immune to fire. And in Pikmin 1, I think yellow Pikmin, their key mechanic was that they could pick up bombs.
Okay.
I think that's all they did. Or was it that they were unable to be electrocuted?
I don't know.
I also don't remember. Something was different about them in Pikmin 1. You're just going to have to take my word for it. I think it was bombs.
I believe you.
I think it was that in Pikmin 1 they could only pick up bombs. They weren't like faster or lighter or whatever. Anyways, the point is, with Pikmin 1 as a return, first of all, what made me want to replay Pikmin 1 was Pikmin 2. Because I finished Pikmin 2 and I was like, wow. Pikmin might be the best game series ever. Might be. It might be the best game series ever in terms of real-time strategy games. Why wouldn't I want to go back to Pikmin 1, which I'd comparatively played ages ago, like from when I last played, from when I had last played Pikmin 2, why wouldn't I want to go back and see what I can do differently within the time allotted to me? It almost presented itself as like challenge mode, because it's like, hey, unlike Pikmin 2, you got freedom, time, money, you can do whatever you want, go crazy, fam. Pikmin 1 was like, no, you don't have time, you don't have money, you have very little time and fewer resources than ever before, make it work, bro. And I really liked having the ability to go back to Pikmin 1 with these new eyes of like, hey, remember all those strategies I implemented in Pikmin 2? I obviously have to build those back into this game. I have to make sure that I'm using my launch attacks way more efficiently versus my swarm attacks. And of course, I have to make sure that the pieces of ship that I'm collecting at the end of every day, or at throughout the day, I should say.
Right.
And that the creatures that I'm killing at the same time are actually going to generate gains for me. I have to keep creating Pikmin all the time. I have to make sure that they get to max flower level because otherwise they're worthless. And I have to make sure that I'm collecting the right ship parts at the right time to make sure that I have the maximum amount of available days at the end of the game that I can just go derp around and get all those other parts that I missed and like fight all the secret bosses. And that's what makes Pikmin 1 so much more fun, I would say, upon return, is that once you've gained all of your knowledge from Pikmin 2 and even your shitty knowledge from Pikmin 3, you can go back to Pikmin 1 with just these fresh eyes of like, wow, this is a superior game to Pikmin 3. This is a really good game, and it's amazing what they were able to do given the constraints of the GameCube, even though it was like the potentially best Nintendo system of all time. Don't at me.
Strong words.
Strong words. Anyways, in clumsy fashion, that is what makes returning to Pikmin 1 so fun and what makes it better on the second playthrough. Because even if you've never played any of the other Pikmins, if you play Pikmin 1 the first time through, you're not going to do it like really the right way.
Right.
Because you're still learning all of the mechanics. Whereas if you then play it immediately a second time around, you're going to be so much better. You're going to have more fun. You're going to get all of the parts that you wanted the first time but couldn't get, like that sweet, sweet gramophone. I'm going to look that up because it's going to kill me
it's actually
that
a
I
gramophone.
can't remember that it was a gramophone or not. But yeah, Pikmin 1.
Pikmin 1.
A fantastic game to revisit.
I mean, strategy games are excellent ones. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, just quick interjection. Even if you don't still have a functioning GameCube and a functioning copy of Pikmin 1 for the GameCube, which is a collector's item by now and is actually very expensive.
Oh.
If you're not lucky enough to find it at a used game store. They did release Pikmin 1 onto the Wii. So it is still old, but Wii is at least a little bit newer that they put it on the Wii as like one of the greatest hits of Nintendo. And actually, I think Pikmin 1 was one of the first games to get that treatment on the Wii.
That's cool.
So, congratulations, Pikmin. A worthy series.
Speaking of old games that are you can play and all that stuff, that one bit of news that I did see within the last couple of days that I did forget about is that Blizzard made the original Diablo game available for on goodoldgames.com, GOG.com, and you can buy it there for like $10 or something, even though it's like been forever since that game came out. So that's kind of cool that they're doing that.
Real quick, while I'm thinking about it, you know what other, I think, stupid news we forgot to talk about?
What?
Sony, like streaming games onto your phone.
Oh,
what the hell
that's
is
right.
up with
I
that?
just updated my PS4 to be able to do that.
I couldn't figure out from your Discord post whether or not you were sarcastically talking about it, because I was like, yeah, that's really stupid. But then I think you might be actually like genuinely excited about it.
Will I ever actually like use that to play a game?
Oh,
I
God,
downloaded
no.
it so I could try it and see. It
Gotcha.
looks like a mess. Like, although I would say if I had games like say Stardew on my PS4, be perfect.
That one would be okay
That'd be
for
great.
mobile.
But like I'm seeing people on Reddit and everything, the PS4 subreddit, putting videos of them playing like Red Dead and Witcher 3 and all this stuff on their phones.
It's like with the people.
It's really cool that that's
really
even a
like
thing.
the people who play Fortnite on their phones. Like it's
Yeah.
the same concept. Like why would you?
I tried Fortnite on my phone. It's
crazy.
so hard.
I just cannot understand it. Like unless it's your only option. But even in this case, you would have to have a PS4 to be able to play games on
you
your
can't
phone.
It's not like you can sign up for PS
So
Now.
why in the hell would you make the choice to stream to your phone unless you were stuck at an airport?
I mean, yeah, but that's I don't know. But people do, you know. I don't know. People got games to play, and they have time, and they find time away from home to play them. So they got a way now that they can. Might not be the best experience, but they're going to go for it. I want to try it out still. I just downloaded the app to be able to do it, and I haven't had a chance to do it. So my game, my first one, is one that honestly, I replayed it because I was like really in love with key moments of the game. Not necessarily. I mean, I love the whole game as a whole, but like the reason why I wanted to go back to this one is because there were like 2 or 3 specific moments about this game. One that really sticks out in my head that I was just like, I need to experience this again. And the game is Halo 3.
Oh, really? I actually wondered where you were going with that.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to guess Halo. That's interesting.
Halo, one of the reasons for this is that I thought that I wanted to pick this one specifically is how quickly after I beat the game the first time that I went back and played it again. Now, granted, like I've said before on the show, like I didn't get my first console until about 10 years ago. So I've been playing catch up on some things. So by the time I got one, like Halo 3 had come out and been around, Halo 3 ODST was already out, I believe, at this time, or about to come out. And so I remember playing it, and so I was still building my collection of games, as it were. So I didn't necessarily have many options, which might contribute to why I replayed it again so quickly. But still, I remembered that one of all the Halo games, specifically having very specific moments. And honestly, I think this moment in particular that I'm thinking about might have been one Zach talked about before. It's
Really?
possible. He talked about a lot of Halo.
I don't know who you're talking about. I've never heard of that person before.
Zach.
The ghost that used to stand
The
here?
acclaimed filmmaker who's in Bermuda right now showing his feature film at a film festival.
Is he now in Bermuda?
Yeah.
What is with everybody going to Bermuda except me?
I don't know. When we were
That
in Bermuda,
sucks.
I was like, wait, is Zach coming this weekend for a film festival? That would be crazy. But no, his film, Bentley's Will,
gosh.
is being shown at film festivals right now. It's exciting times.
That's super exciting.
Super exciting.
Golf clap for him. Golf clap for the ghost of Zach's past.
So I speak of Halo in his honor today. So really, that's why it's a specific moment, and this moment is in the final mission in the game Halo, and you're trying to get to the main control center of this Halo ring. I believe my details are a little fuzzy on it because it has been a very long time since I've replayed it again, but. You're going in and you have to just basically do this to deactivate the Halo ring. I believe. I apologize, Halo fans, if I'm butchering that. But neither here nor there. The end goal of what you're trying to do wasn't necessarily the key moment. There's just this one part I remember when you're running towards the control center. You have to cross this snowy plain with all these rocks and everything in it, but the flood enemies, which are like the infected zombie kind of enemies that they'll infect anything. Humans, Covenant. I'm forgetting the name of the big gorilla type guys. Brutes. Thank you. There it is, Brain.
Okay.
Thank you. And
I was going to say large grunt.
yeah, and the grunts and all that stuff, they can infect all this and just make it these monstrosities. And so you're just in this field, and they can jump really high and really far. They're fast. And so it's just... What was so cool about this moment is that it was pretty easy to find like a gravity hammer, which is this big slamming hammer that you can just swing and it just sends enemies
super
flying.
fun.
And of course, since it was Halo, like the flood would like disintegrate and blow apart in chunks when you hit them with it. You could use an energy sword, and it just was this very difficult, especially depending on what difficulty level you were playing it on. But I just remembered it feeling like this horde coming at you, which most of the time, that was the big thing about the flood as an enemy. But I don't know, just something about this specific setting really just stuck in my head. And there was an earlier one where I remembered another mission where they were like all these brutes again, but like in vehicles, and you had to like rush this outpost, and they just start swarming you and all their like the motorcycles. Again, it's been a while. I apologize. I know I'm butchering this, and Halo fans are grimacing, but still, it was just these. I don't know. Halo 3 is one of the few campaigns that I remember having like these climactic battles that felt really epic. And now the other thing about Halo that I've always really loved is obviously the music. I've talked about that a lot, how good the music is for Halo.
And even I can freely admit that the music is top-notch.
It's so damn good. I was listening to some of it earlier today and just like getting goosebumps, getting chills. It's wonderful. But even then, and when I was watching a replay of this last mission Halo to be able to kind of see it and get around and kind of refresh my memory of it a little bit, it's just still, you hear those tracks and you hear this music, and it just, everything about it is so epic. So I remembered finishing the game and being like, that was cool. Went to another game for like a little bit, but I remember it was within a couple weeks. It's like, I got to play this again, try it on harder difficulty level and go back. And that's what's the fun, especially of a game like Halo for me, is playing it again on a harder difficulty level. Because especially trying to find all the skulls, like you do the fun things. Like I remember the one that you headshot grunts and like confetti explodes.
Okay,
and
that's hysterical.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. You can find all these different collectibles and everything. And that's a big motivator for me to want to replay any game. But again, because of limited time to go back and replay some of these games, there has to be something about it that makes it stick. And for me, it was those epic moments in Halo 3 that really stuck around with me. The music, like I said, and then also it does have the iconic ending where, Sergeant Johnson is killed by Guilty Spark. Then you have to turn and kill Guilty Spark. And
not alternative Wheatley.
It's all these things like Sergeant Johnson was from Halo 1, like this character who's been with you the whole journey, and then is struck down in this moment. And it's just, I don't know, the story of Halo 3 is just one of the best of the series. And so I really just enjoy that game for its epicness, and going back is all about re-experiencing that again. So
Of course.
that's why I have to go with Halo 3.
Very nice, good sir. While you were talking, it occurred to me that I don't think ever my motivation for returning to a game, any game, was to play it on a harder difficulty.
Really? Not to see if you could just do it or anything like that?
No.
The only one
I don't think I've ever done that.
Not even, well, because you're not
had
super into
that be
trophies or
my
anything like that.
reason. Yeah, like
Yeah.
even the trophies.
Sometimes
I've
it's
never really...
trophies that I want to go through for something like
Yeah.
that. But no, this one, I don't know. Halo games are, for me especially, going back and trying to play those on hard difficulties are always fun. There's something about, like, I can do it in Call of Duty. It's not as fun. I enjoy the game, but I mean, Halo is better than Call of Duty.
That's the thing.
But still.
We've had this conversation before, but most in-game trophies that come down to gameplay, like, oh, do XYZ thing
Right.
50 times, those just seem like burdens to me, and those are not fun, and I do not like them. If it were more like super secret hidden, like the more hidden trophies where it's like, oh, you don't know,
Collectibles and things like that.
like get attacked by a raccoon in Firewatch. That's a fantastic trophy. And it can only happen if you do certain things to anger the raccoon.
Right.
Like that's a kind of trophy system I can enjoy. But even so, I've never gone back to Firewatch and tried to platinum it.
Really?
Like that's never been my reason for wanting to replay a game.
I have a list of a few. Like one, like God of War, I definitely want to go back and try to platinum, but and then Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I definitely want to whenever I get back into that game finally. And what's another one? Oh, Order 1886. Because I got close to that
Because I finally
one.
gave it back to
Well,
you.
yeah, that's
Wait,
part of
I
it,
did,
too.
right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I was like,
But-
did I dream that?
No, you did. But because I want to kind of go play back and play that one again because I know I got close to beating it, and I know that game got a lot of flack, and I've said it before. It's been a while since I've said it, but I loved that game, so I would go back and
Just
do that
have
one.
an anniversary? I saw something
It was an
on
early
Twitter
PS4 game, so I would
about
be-
Order 1886, and I was like, why?
And if they do like a special anniversary edition, I might snatch that up.
Yeah,
It's
interesting.
a lot of good fun. But anyway, so what would be your second game? that
Quick
you've
other
enjoyed so-
caveat
Okay.
that I just thought about. I don't know why I didn't take
We're
better
having all
notes.
these jumbled.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fun.
And
I
it's
love this-
because
I love
of
this hot
what, it's
conversation.
because of what you said about Bravely Default.
Yeah.
I posted it in the Discord, but I just want to remind everybody, in case you're not on the Discord, you're a super lame kid. It was
Join that Discord.
basically, so this is kind of like a semi-confirmed rumor,
Right.
but Square Enix's Twitter did basically just confirm through addressing a different concern that Octopath Traveler does have a sequel or some other installment of the series in development right now.
Oh, that wasn't
So-
what I was going to talk. What I was remembered. But I
No,
heard
it was
other-
because, so this all came out because Octopath Traveler did officially get this announcement that they're going to have basically a spin-off prequel for phone, for iOS.
That's what I was talking.
Yeah, it's going to be for like Android and iOS. But then all the fans of Octopath were like, but what?
But why?
This isn't what we want. And they were like, okay, but hear us out. That game that you do want is in production. So it's like,
Nice.
it's a twofold thing. Octopath is
placeholder.
getting this interesting prequel. I think they said it's going to be more like a single player game, I want to say. I don't know if that means it'll still feature the multitudes of characters that you can be. I would hope so.
Yeah.
But that's going to be for Android and iOS. And then as a side note to all of that, they are supposedly, fingers crossed, working on a formal Octopath Traveler second installment for console.
Very nice.
God, I hope so.
That'd be cool.
And
That's one I still
honestly,
want to go back and play.
if this were a game that weren't like a Nintendo exclusive, that's better for everyone.
Right.
I like that it's coming to iOS and Android, even if it is just this sort of weird side game, because that means more people will be introduced to Octopath. More people can then enjoy it, hopefully get super into it and want to buy the Switch game. More sales revenue, more opportunity for Square Enix to publish that to other consoles as well. Which Square is all over Sony.
Yeah.
So why didn't it go to the PS4 in the first place?
know.
I'll never understand that. I'm sure it was some sort of competitive business move, but
Probably.
the point is that's happening. Yay.
That is exciting.
Golf clap.
It's a great game.
And now what are we actually talking about?
You're
Never
telling us
mind,
your
I know
second
what-
game that you enjoyed of a second playthrough. Take a sip. It's all right. Collect your thoughts.
Collect my thoughts. Mostly I have to like keep my mouth
Yeah.
lubricated. It's painful
gross.
in there,
I'm
bro.
sorry.
So this one should be no surprise to anybody. And I thought about doing a different game instead, but I was like, nah. Can you guess what game series I'm going to talk about? You don't have to guess the game.
Okay.
Just the series.
I'm going to throw out Zelda.
You're right.
Boom.
Right on the first try. Good job, buddy.
So good.
Can you guess which game I'm going to talk about?
You enjoy it for a second time. Link to the Past.
Yes!
Yes!
Holy crap! Nice work! Very well done, good sir.
Oh, On
So
fire.
I probably would have said A Link to the Past, no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
but it does kind of come with a double-edged sword because it is really kind of, this is a two-parter because it is both A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds. So part of Ark's original question was what makes you want to go back and play a game? And A Link Between Worlds made me want to go back and replay A Link to the Past. Because for anyone
okay.
that doesn't know, for the Zelda series, A Link to the Past was one of the OG, like, games that started it all in terms of bringing The Legend of Zelda to a new height of popularity that it had not enjoyed before.
Right.
I think that this was for the SNES, right? The SNES?
Yes.
Yeah, the SNES. That's what the cool kids call
It
it.
is indeed.
So A Link to the Past came out for the SNES 8 billion years ago. I don't know how long ago it really was. 90s? Early 90s? Let's not worry about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it would have to
whatever. Doesn't matter. So A Link to the Past comes out. It revolutionizes, adventure style gaming, which I guess is what you would consider The Legend of Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
Many, many, many years later, maybe 4 to 5 years ago now, 2014, 2013.
That was 5
I
years
think
ago.
I'm probably kind of, was it 5?
Yeah, it's 2019.
Yeah, it was probably 2014 or 2015.
Yeah.
Anyways, A Link Between Worlds comes out for the 3DS, and it is very expressly something that you don't see a lot of in The Legend of Zelda. It is a new iteration of a Zelda game on the exact same map. We talked about this when
Okay.
I had first played A Link Between Worlds, but the idea is, let's say here on the table, you've got your square.
Head over
because
to
back-
youtube.com/podcast so you can see this great
This
illustration on
sweet
the table.
square that I'm drawing on nothing, so it's an imaginary square still, so
I've got it. I'm
you
with
still
you here.
technically can't see it, but pretend that this is your square. And A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds are both the top-down gaming viewpoint. So you've got your square, which is your quadrant of map. The map for A Link Between Worlds is more or less an exact replica of the map from A Link to the Past. And to my knowledge, I can't think of another Zelda game that did that, like that exact thing of, okay, we've got this map from one of our very first games. We're going to take this super new game and just kind of use the same map, but it's a different setting, sort of, and we put all these new features into it. Essentially, A Link Between Worlds was a fantastic excuse to make a new Link to the Past, more or less, which is how I view the game. Other people might disagree, but that when A Link Between Worlds came out, I was like, yes, they just basically remade the game and
Yeah.
made it better. I'm so excited about this. Or at least made it newer, maybe not better. But having played and beaten A Link Between Worlds, it's a fantastic reminder and a callback to some of the facets of the Legend of Zelda gaming that the series has really gone away from in more recent years. So one of the things that is unique about A Link to the Past, kind of in comparison to the more modern games, is how incredibly hands-off it is. That's the word I'm looking for, because the newer games, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, the handhelds, Wind Waker even, Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, Breath of the Wild to an extent, they all include this more integrated element of dialogue. Like, there's a lot of dialogue and interaction with other characters. There's cutscenes. There's all this kind of stuff that's just sort of meant to enhance the story of the game, and in many cases you could say that it does. I think some of the cutscenes and character interaction of Skyward Sword in particular are what make that game fantastic to me. Other people hate it for that reason. But A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds both went away from those tropes, obviously because A Link to the Past didn't have them, and A Link Between Worlds because that's not something that is part of A Link to the Past. So having played A Link Between Worlds and being reminded of, oh yeah, a long time ago you actually used to have a lot of freedom for where you went in the game and when, assuming you had the right gear, of course, and sort of doing things on your own terms without a lot of interference from the outside world in-game.
It's kind of like an early version of like what would be an open world game.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, for what it was at the time, the ability to have a map as big as A Link to the Past would have seemed revolutionary to people.
Right.
And it kind of still is. And going back to it, one of the things that is incredibly impressive about A Link to the Past is it loses none of its novelty, quality, or even really, you could say that its graphic style is arguably what it loses the most of, but even then, it is still a good-looking game. You can play A Link to the Past today, and it is still a good-looking game, because the style that they use, that pixelated top-down style, it's just really hard to really date that style and have it be unplayable by modern terms.
Yeah.
It is still a super playable game. It is still incredibly fun. And for fans of The Legend of Zelda that haven't played those older installments, it is hands down the one that I would be like, play that one. Yeah, that's the one you have to play. Don't worry about those first couple of games. They're too hard. Everybody knows that. Just skip to A Link to the Past, get the better experience, and have a fantastic time learning about the roots. I think that's what I really like about it the most, and that's kind of what I'm trying to draw back to here. Learning about the roots of such a long-standing series. Because it's not really the same as, say, the Pokemon games. The Pokemon games have followed the same format for all 20 installments that have happened, except for maybe, like, Pikachu's Mystery Dungeon. It's a real game. That's not fake. And Detective Pikachu, of course. But the Pokemon games at their core have followed an extremely similar pattern for every single time, just basically updating it with a bigger catalog of creatures that you can find and graphically updating it. Playing A Link to the Past versus playing the newer Legend of Zelda games is a real experience, because you're like, oh, look at all these cool things that were still like in their infancy in terms of the series, and look at all these characters that are interacting for the first time that you're being introduced to. It's really fun and interesting, and I think that novelty, anyone could enjoy it, and I would highly recommend it to just any gamer, period, but especially any fan of The Legend of Zelda that hasn't gone back and played some of those more formative installments in the series. 10 out of 10.
Man, I want to go back and do it.
A Link to the Past is a perfect game.
Yeah.
It just is. And A Link Between Worlds is also fantastic. So if you have a handheld, if you have the 2DS or the 3DS, A Link Between Worlds is a really good handheld game. 10 out of 10. It's a perfect
also
game.
on the SNES Classic?
A Link to the Past is. Yes.
Not the other one.
No.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Then now I'm blanking on the
No. A Link Between Worlds is the super new
Between
one.
Worlds.
That's for the 3DS and the 2DS. A Link to the Past is the one that did make it to the SNES Classic.
Very nice. No, that's
SNES
like
Mini? Whatever.
that's a very interesting take and a very interesting direction that they chose to go with that. You know, to do that, because that's a really cool way of looking at it, though, about how it really like you said, about highlighting the roots of the game. That's pretty sweet. That's that makes me want to go back and play it, even though I'm not self-described. You know, I would not say I'm the biggest Zelda fan, but like still, that's a cool. I would like to at least play around in it a little bit to see, kind of get hints of what you're talking about.
Really, of the Legend of Zelda games that I can think of, which is all of them, I feel like you would get the most enjoyment out of A Link to the Past.
Okay.
Or A Link Between Worlds, either of them.
Yeah.
So when, you'll be able to do this. So when Link's Awakening,
Which I was going to bring up, because
makes its debut on the Switch, you have to play it.
I want to.
It's basically,
I know nothing about it.
Yeah, you
but
don't
the
have
art
to.
style is what hooked me on that one.
you don't have to know
beautiful.
anything about it. It's basically like Link's Awakening is getting the Link Between Worlds treatment, but even better because it's on the Switch.
Right.
And that's a day one must buy for me. I know I'm going to freak out and love it. That was my first Zelda game. You know
really?
that, right?
No, I don't think I did.
Link's Awakening was the first one I ever played.
How cool.
And that was literally when I was like, yes, this small green man, Zelda. Like, because I was so young that I was like, yeah, this Zelda guy, he's pretty cool. And then one of my friends was like, you dumb motherfucker. But not really, because we were 7.
Man, I just guessed.
But yeah, I played it on the Game Boy Color.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it would have been
About that time.
It would have been that one. Yep, that's the one.
That's really good.
That's
No,
the
I am
mofo
excited
right
about
there.
it, because the art of what Link's Awakening looks so good.
You are going to love it. I mean, I think anyone will love it. It looks like it's going to be a perfect game.
Yeah.
Did you know that Link's Awakening was also the first introduction of the Chain Chomp?
Really?
It's called a Bow Wow because it goes bark bark. And
Okay,
then,
I knew it was called a Bow Wow,
Yeah.
but I didn't know that was the first introduction of it.
That the Chain Chomp's first
Learned
ever
so much today.
like debut in Nintendo Land was in Link's Awakening as a Bow Wow.
And then it goes over to Mario.
That is correct. And you actually got one of the specific dungeons. Getting to it required that Link borrow the Bow Wow from its owner. So you were Link walking your Chain Chomp in Link's Awakening. And
that.
it's gonna be in the reboot. And I cannot wait to have my Bow Wow back again.
Did they say a release date on that one?
I don't know.
Or just like still like it's
I
coming?
don't think they did.
Yeah. I don't remember.
I can't remember either. You would think I would know. Whoops.
Since it's going to be a day one purchase.
Whoopsie
It was
doodles.
yesterday.
Oh, God. That would suck.
That would suck. All right. Well, my second game that I want to talk about is another one that's kind of it's another one from my past. It's an older one. Pulling it out.
Wait.
You're not going to get it.
Stronghold.
No.
Damn it. I thought for sure it would be Cow Malady.
I mean, well, malady has struck our cows, my lord.
That game will always be called Cow Malady in my
In your
head.
mind. Well, because it's very similar in my head to like Civilization and Stronghold. All these games, like same as you with Pikmin, you know when you played it as a kid and everything, your strategies were not good. My strategies were terrible, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I never played anything harder than the easiest difficulty mode on Civilization. But even now, like I go back for it because it's the perfect game. I hardly ever finish a game of Stronghold or Civilization, but I've probably finished 3 games in all the games of Civilization that I've played. But I just love going in, starting it, building around, playing, and just going back. And if it's, if for circumstances or whatever, and I get taken away from it for a while, I'll restart because I don't, I was on a roll. But it's just fun to go back and replay that stuff.
Of course.
But that's not the game that I'm talking about, though. The one that I'm going with is Lord of the Rings Return of the King.
Wait, is that why Legolas was on
That's
your
why
computer
Legolas was on the computer.
Oh,
I was doing a little bit of
you tricked me,
research.
bro. I should have known.
So this game came back, it's way back from 2003. And it's one that came out on the PS2. I played it on the Mac when I finally got around to it.
Was it when the Macs were like the big plastic thingies that came in like pink and blue? Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic.
I loved those Macs. Those were fun. But so this game, especially for me, is another one. I love its replayability because, again, it was one of the earlier games that I played. I played this one actually at friends' houses growing up, around the time it actually came out. And then when I did finally get my own copy and played it on my computer, I just would replay it over and over and over again because this game is one that is built on not necessarily a second playthrough. It's built on many playthroughs because you could play as all these different heroes from the movies and everything. I mean, Gandalf, Faramir, I believe, all the hobbits.
You could be
Legolas.
Faramir?
Yeah.
Of all people.
Yeah.
I guess if you were Boromir, you'd have to die super early on.
Well, before the
really,
game
that's the
came
game
out.
I want.
Just where you can be Bomer and
Just
die.
where you can be Boromir and you get to die with your honor.
And you could be Gimli and all this stuff. So it was great. You'd have this great cast of characters that you could be. Each one, the more you play with them, would level them up. But the other thing that made it so great is that each character had their own move sets and combos that you could pull off.
And how old is this game?
2003. So it's
So
old.
pretty old.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually did not realize that the legend of Lord of the Rings, the Legend of Rings. I didn't realize that the games were actually that old.
Yeah.
Did not
And this
know
is
that.
one that I would for sure, if they announced a remaster or backward compatible version for some device, I would try to track that down and play it for sure. Because especially the one that sticks out in my mind the most, I remember, is the first mission where you're playing, where it's the Gandalf comes in at the Battle of Helm's Deep and saves everyone. And
That's where you start.
That's where you start.
You don't start in Hobbiton.
No, because it's Return of the King. It's only it's for the game for Return of the King.
Gotcha.
And so it's so great. And I was watching it again today for the nostalgia kick. But it starts off showing the cutscene from the actual movie where Gandalf's on top of the hill with the Riders of Rohan
Nice.
coming down and everything. But it's so funny when they actually get to the orc line outside of Helm's Deep and they jump into it. Gandalf's spear is or his staff is getting bright and blinding
right.
all the orcs and all that stuff. When it gets to its brightest, that's when the game decides to transition from the movie quality cutscene to PS2 level graphics,
Oh,
and it's
man.
so funny.
That's
but when
really
I
funny.
remember playing the game as a kid and being like, "This is awesome! It looks just like the movie." And oh god,
And boy, did it not.
oh, it does not. But it's still so fun going back to that game and being Gandalf and having your sword and your staff and just wailing on orcs and Uruk-hai.
That does
But
sound
what
really
made this
fun.
game so fun is with every attack and however you were able to kill your enemies, depending if they were able to get a hit on you while you were trying to kill them before you could kill them and all this stuff, it would rate your kill like fair, good, excellent, perfect. And then each ranking for that would give you a point, which would give you points like 75 for a fair, 100 for a goods, etc. And obviously it was more like, it kind of gave this game more of like an arcade feel to it, because you could go back and try to get like a high score and like get, because the better combos you could pull off and the better string of combos and high attack ratings that you could pull off, it would obviously get more points. And then if you were able to fill your perfect meter, which is every attack and hit you land, like you see this like circle slowly start filling up, but it slowly decreases too. So it really encourages you to be offensive, really hitting these heavy moves, because then you can unlock perfect mode. And in perfect mode, every attack you do is perfect, gets a perfect rating for a specific amount of time.
That probably feels really good.
Wailing on fools. It's so good. But see, this is such the difference between how you and I sometimes look at different games. You went back to Legend of Zelda, to Zelda for this comparison to the roots of the game. I just went back to this one because I just love
just to play perfect mode again.
It's so good. And it's so fun just wailing on these fools and all these different levels, especially when you're going on. And they would introduce like harder enemies, all the different enemies that you see in the movies and things like this. It was just a really, really, really fun game and a great video game adaptation of a movie, which those are very few and far between.
Indeed.
Almost as bad as not as bad, but close to as bad as like movie adaptations of video games.
I think movie adaptations of games are still significantly worse.
They're still worse.
But I agree that they are both, by and large, pretty bad.
Yeah. But so it was a really fun as you progress through the story of Return of the King, playing as all the different characters. And man, just going back and watching the video of it today, I forgot that even for a game from 2003, which, games were good back then, just the graphics weren't great. This game was very pretty, and like the animations, the executions when you did land the combos, and just how fluid everything looked. It was really like, I remembered enjoying it a lot and thinking like, this game's awesome when I was playing it then. But like the last time I probably was able to actually play that game was probably about 8-ish years ago when my computer that I had to get for work and all that other stuff was finally too new to be able to play it.
Oh yeah, that's always a really sad day.
I still have the disc. I'm holding on to it. Just like I still have my disc of Dark Forces.
Bro.
No, that's a collector's
I'm just
item
kidding. Yeah, you have to hang on to that stuff.
Absolutely.
Don't throw any of that away.
Yeah. So that's really, sorry, Ark. I hope you weren't wanting something for way super deep. Go to Mogan for that, apparently. She's got all the deep connections to her games, but mine, the combat in this game was just so good. It's so fun and made just for an incredible experience that allowed for such great replayability. Also, again, similar to Halo 3, the music, you're playing to Lord of the Rings music here.
It's pretty unbeatable. Yeah, it's going to feel really good.
So
Enya.
Yeah. I'm not even going to try to do Enya, but her song at the end. Oh man, May It Be. That's what it was called.
Mine went blank. It was.
But yeah, isn't Return of the King? Isn't that the Annie Lennox song?
Sing it for me.
It's the across the sea.
Is it?
On the horizon. That one?
Huh.
I don't remember.
Maybe.
I think that was Return of the King.
Know.
It's been a while. See, I was listening to music of that today and seeing this, and I was like, it's time for a rewatch of Return of the King. It's time to rewatch all the Lord of the Rings, actually.
Always time to rewatch all Lord of the Rings movies. That time never goes away.
I needed to get
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I do it at least once or twice a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Extended editions or theatrical?
The extended ones, you fool.
There you go. That's the way to do it. That's actually a movie series that I bought the DVD extended editions, and then I bought the Blu-ray
and then the Blu-rays.
Editions.
Yeah, you got
to stay on top of it.
You have to.
Got to. Well, we hope you enjoyed our dive into that topic of games, why we wanted to do a second playthrough and why they warranted a second playthrough. And we would love to hear from all of you as well. So send us an email at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com. Comment below the video, the audio, anywhere you want. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on our Discord channel. If you join us, the link to join is in the description below. And so we would just really love to hear, which games do you like going back to for your second, third, fourth, fifth? Who knows how many playthroughs you want?
If you like it that much, it's probably an okay game.
Yeah, probably
Let us know. Maybe we will play them. Games. Yeah, we like okay ones.
But before we go, we do have to do our soundtrack spotlight, which Mogan has prepared for us for this week.
So we're going way, way back, bro, all the way to 1992 in North America, 1991 in Japan. We are doing the Dark World theme from The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past by none other than the final boss of Nintendo music and composing himself, Koji Kondo.
We were doing the research for this, and we were trying to be like, well, who's the composer? And then
We could have just
should've
guessed. We could have just shot into the darkness and gotten it right.
Koji Kondo.
Man, we're fools. Anyways, Koji Kondo, Dark World theme.
A Dark World theme. So stick around after the close of the episode to hear that, which is pretty much now, unfortunately. But that brings this episode of Teen Chat Podcast to a close. Come back next week for another fun gaming topic on a brand new episode. But until then, I'm one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined by Rachel Mogan.
Adios.
We'll see you all next time. Stick around for the song.